The Supreme Court has ruled that a football coach at a public high school did have the right to pray on the field after games. Joe Kennedy began his prayer ritual in 2008, but the Bremerton School District in Washington state grew concerned after several years when players began to join him. The school offered Kennedy an alternative place to pray away from public view, but Kennedy refused, and he was ultimately placed on administrative leave and suspended from coaching. He sued, arguing that the school district had violated his First Amendment right to free speech, and the Supreme Court agreed with him. In a 6-3 decision, Supreme Court Justice Neil Gorsuch, writing for the majority, respect for religious expressions is indispensable to life in a free and diverse republic, whether those expressions take place in a sanctuary or on a field, and whether they manifest through the spoken word or a bowed head. Joining us now is the plaintiff in that case, Joe Kennedy, as well as his attorney, Kelly J. Shackelford. Thank you, gentlemen, for both of you being with us. I do appreciate it. Coach, to you first. How did it feel when you learned of this decision?
I was a little shocked at first because everybody said, there it is. And everybody was reading it and nobody was telling me what the heck anything said. So I was so glad the lawyers finally told me. And it was just a big sigh of relief that, I didn't do anything wrong. I think this is just a great day for every American. It really shows, the diversity and the inclusion of exactly what America is about.
Is it what you expected?
I kind of did. There's been so many people that have been positively reporting on this. You guys have supported us, and it's just been wonderful. So I was very optimistic about going into this because I think everybody has the exact same freedom. People of faith, people of no faith, of different faiths. That's what America is all about, is being able to just enjoy our freedoms.
I do want to be clear. We cover this. We don't take a position on it, just to be clear. We certainly are very interested in this case. I do want to ask you something. Justice Sotomayor said in her dissenting opinion, she said today's decision is particularly misguided because it elevates the religious rights of a school official who voluntarily accepted public employment and the limits that public employment entails over those of his students who were required to attend school and who this court has long recognized are particularly vulnerable and deserving of protection. What is your reaction to that, Coach?
I didn't understand her reasoning behind they needed to be protected from seeing somebody who's doing a prayer. That part still baffles me. But the great thing about with democracy is that everybody is allowed to have their own opinions, and I was glad she shared hers.
If you were watching this, Coach, and this wasn't you, right? This wasn't your case, but it was another coach's case, and it was Muslim prayer, and they had prevailed. Would you feel the same about it being a victory?
Oh, absolutely. That's a great thing. That's why I supported and defended the Constitution as when I was a Marine for 20 years. I believe in equality for everybody. It doesn't matter if it's a person of different faith or people that have absolutely no faith. The best thing in the world for America is having our freedoms and the Constitution and our amendments.
Kelly, some critics are looking at this and they are concerned that this spells the demise or the end, or certainly knocking down some separation of church and state. How do you see it? What do you say to that?
Well, of course, Brianna, number one, the word separation of church and state aren't in the Constitution. And so, it really focuses on the two religion clauses. But that concept in and of itself, I think, is a great one. It's talking about the separation of the institutions of the church and the state. We don't want the church to be the state to be the church. Of course, here, there is no institution of the church. It's the powerful state versus an individual, Joe Kennedy. And what's great about America is even though the state is incredibly powerful, there's one thing more powerful in this country, and it's the United States Constitution, which protects the individual rights of people like Joe. So when that ruling came down yesterday and said this violates free speech, it violates free exercise, the individual rights of this one citizen, that was a win for every American.
Coach, you've won this case, but you've gone on to another job in another state. Do you want to go back to your old job? Is it too late to do that for you?
Definitely not too late for me. Yes, I am living in another state, taking care of my father-in-law, but this has always been a temporary thing. I have my family, all our kids, my grandkids, my parents, all my friends are up in Washington. That's our home. We just been, kind of doing our own life, waiting for the courts to get done with this. It's been a 7-year trip, so I couldn't just sit idly by. I had to do something for a little while, and I'll be on the first flight back as soon as the school reaches out to us and we work out the details.
So moving forward, as you go back, assuming that all works out and the details work out, and you go back to this ritual that you had before, how do you make sure that all students feel included, whether they are Christian or they are Muslim or they're Jewish or they're even atheist?
Awesome question. And that's really simple. I'm going to go back to the practice that I attended, and my commitment at the very beginning to God was just to say a prayer of thanks alone. And that's all it's going to go back to be. While they're off doing the fight song and there's no other students around me, I'm just going to take a knee for, 5, 10 seconds and just thank God. It's going to be exactly the way it started out and the way it ended, of me being alone on the 50.
Well, Coach Kennedy, we know this has been a long process for you. We appreciate you sharing your story with us today. And Kelly Shackelford, thank you for being with us.
You guys
Thank
are
you.
awesome. Thank you.